The rain had flooded the roads. I huddled on a plastic chair in the urgent care infusion area, trembling all over. The thermometer read 104 degrees. My vision blurred from the fever. My phone buzzed once. It was the notification tone for my close friends list. Seth had posted on Instagram. The photo showed half his soaked shoulder and a delicate, pitiful hand clutching the hem of his jacket. The caption read, "No matter how hard the rain falls, someone will hold an umbrella for you." Some silly girl still shake at the sound of thunder. I tapped to enlarge the photo. The bracelet on that hand was the one I'd lost just last week. Mia Sutton, his childhood friend, the girl who claimed she was too fragile to take care of herself. Afraid of the dark, afraid of thunder, afraid of being alone. A total skittish bird. Half an hour earlier, I'd called Seth 3 times. I told him I was too feverish to move and asked if he could come pick me up. He'd said, "Lils, don't be difficult. Mia didn't bring an umbrella. She's crying so hard by the road she can barely breathe. I have to get her first. Be strong and call a cab yourself." Be strong. Those 2 words had been a constant, suffocating burden around me for 7 years. Because I was strong. I could change light bulbs alone, unclog toilets alone, go to the hospital alone. Because Mia was fragile. Seth would drop everything to rescue her at the slightest hint of distress. I stared at the post. For once, I didn't feel wronged or heartbroken. I didn't pick up the phone to yell and demand answers. The ache in my chest suddenly vanished. It was as if this fever had burned all the foolishness right out of me. I liked the post calmly. Then I left a comment. "Roads are slippery in the rain. Be careful you don't crash and die." I hit send, then blocked him, all in one smooth motion. I ripped the 4 needle out of the back of my hand. A bead of blood welled up, but I didn't even press on it. This pain was nothing compared to what I'd felt in my heart. I opened the real estate app on my phone. I typed in the apartment community, floor, and unit type without hesitation. This riverfront luxury penthouse in the heart of the city was supposed to be our marital home. To be precise, I'd bought it outright, all cash, back then. To spare Seth's fragile ego, I'd added his name to the property deed, but we'd signed a detailed, prenuptial property agreement. I had all the proof of payment and transaction records in my possession. I owned 90% of the property and had the sole right to sell it. I'd never sold it before because I'd wanted to give him a home. Now, that home was tainted. I tapped list for sale without hesitation. In the notes, I wrote, "Urgent sale, 200,000 below market value, all furniture included, need gone fast." The second the listing went live, my phone blew up with calls from agents. "Ms. Moore, are you sure about this price? This is an absolute steal." My voice was hoarse, but firm. "I'm sure. Only condition. All cash offer. Closing this week." "Got it. I'll send this straight to my VIP clients right now." I hung up and stared at the pouring rain outside the window. The rain was stopping, and so was my love. Money. A home. No man. That was the good life. My phone buzzed again. Dozens of messages from Seth popped up. All excuses. "Lils, what was that comment supposed to mean? You cursing me. Mia gets scared easily. You're older than her. Don't hold it against her. Enough with the attitude. I'll come with you to get your 4 drip tomorrow. I promise. I already said I'm sorry. What more do you want?" Reading those words, I could only laugh. The old Lelahood ached. Just seeing him frown had died in this storm. I didn't reply. I opened my banking app and stared at the balance in my savings account. That long string of numbers gave me more confidence than I'd ever felt. "Seth, you thought I couldn't live without you. Truth is, I was the one extending you courtesy this whole time. Now, I'm done, and you can forget about living off me." It was 2:00 in the morning by the time I got home. I didn't turn on the lights. By the glow of the streetlight outside, I started packing. I wasn't running away. I was getting the place ready to be vacated for the sale. All my clothes, jewelry, bags, everything got packed up. As for Seth's things, I didn't even glance at them. The lock clicked. Seth was home. He walked in, cold from the rain, reeking of cloying sweet perfume. It was that guy Magnet perfume Mia loved so much. He froze when he saw the stacks of boxes in the living room. Then his brows furrowed, and he spoke with irritation. What are you making all this racket for in the middle of the night? You're louder than a moving crew. He tossed his car keys on the entry table, kicked off his shoes, and walked in. When he saw me sitting on the couch, not moving, he got even more annoyed. Can't you see I'm soaked? How about making some ginger tea? Lala, you're getting more and more selfish. Selfish, when I had a 104 degrees fever and went to the hospital alone. He was putting his jacket on another woman. I stared at him coldly. Your hand's broken. Make it yourself. Seth clearly hadn't expected me to talk back. He was stunned for a second. Then anger flared across his face, but he quickly pushed it down, putting on a patronizing look instead. He pulled a box of cold medicine out of his pocket and tossed it at me. The sharp edge of the box scraped my collarbone, sending a sting through me. Enough with the mood. Mia specifically told me to pick this up. Said you'd catch a cold from the rain. She's so kind. And you're just petty. I glanced down at the box. The packaging was worn. Manufactured 3 years ago. Expired 3 months ago. Expired medicine. Just like his and Mia's kindness. It made me sick to my stomach. She's so kind. All right. I picked up the box, stood up right in front of him, walked over to the trash can, dropped it, box and all. It fell into the can full of food scraps, but it's expired. Even a dog wouldn't touch this. Seth's face turned livid. Layla, are you insane? That was a kind gesture from Mia. Kind gesture. I let out a dry laugh, looking at him like he was an idiot. At 2:00 in the morning, she sends you home with medicine that's 3 months past expiration. Is this her way of trying to poison me so you two can have the place to yourselves? Seth had nothing to say back. Humiliated and furious, he kicked the coffee table hard. You're impossible. I'm not arguing with you. I'm sleeping in the guest room. He turned for the guest room, but found the door locked. He tried the master bedroom. Locked. 2. Layla, open this door. He roared from outside. I put on my noise-canceling headphones. The world went quiet. My phone lit up with a message from the agent. Ms. Moore, I have a very serious buyer who wants to see the place first thing tomorrow. Would that work for you? I replied, works for me, anytime. Outside the door, Seth was still kicking. He probably thought this was just one of my usual tantrums, that if he gave me the cold shoulder for a few days, I'd come crawling back with hot soup, just like always. Too bad. There would be no hot soup this time, only an eviction notice. I lay in bed, and to my surprise, I slept perfectly through the thudding kicks. It was the best night's sleep I'd had in 7 years. The next morning, to punish me, Seth skipped making breakfast and stormed out the door. Before he left, he spat. I'm not coming home for dinner tonight. You think about what you did. I watched his back, feeling absolutely nothing. I almost wanted to clap. Good riddance. Saves me the trouble of dealing with him during the showing. I called in sick, then put on a full face of makeup to cover how pale I was. At 9:00 sharp, the doorbell rang. Agent Jake was standing there with a man. Ms. Moore, this is Mr. Chase, the buyer I told you about. I looked up. He was tall and broad-shouldered, wearing a perfectly tailored custom suit. Sharp, cold features, with thin gold-rimmed glasses perched on his nose. A wolf in sheep's clothing. That was the first thought that crossed my mind. But one small gesture before he stepped inside changed my mind. He pulled a pair of disposable shoe covers out of his pocket and slipped them on smoothly. He didn't use the ones by the door, and he didn't just walk right in. That kind of inherent manners. Seth could never learn them. Not in a million years. Ms. Moore, thank you for having me. Jasper's voice was deep and rich, like the low string of a cello. I stepped aside. Come in, please. Jasper looked around the living room. His gaze didn't linger on the expensive appliances. It landed on a painting hanging on the wall. It was a doodle I'd painted in college. Worthless, but it meant everything to me. Bold composition. The color use has real tension. Jasper turned to me, a flicker of appreciation in his eyes behind the lenses. You designed this place yourself, didn't you, Ms. Moore? I was surprised. How could you tell? The details. He pointed to the corner by the balcony. That reading nook isn't just pretty. It's positioned perfectly to catch the sunlight at 3:00 in the afternoon. Only someone who truly loves life would put that much thought into it. Something fluttered in my chest. I'd poured my whole heart into this apartment. Seth had lived here 3 years, and all he ever did was complain the couch was too soft and the carpet was too high maintenance. No one had ever seen right through me like Jasper did. "You have a good eye, Mr. Chase," I said sincerely. The tour went smoothly. Jasper didn't even try to negotiate the price. "I love the place, and I love the furniture." He stood by the floor-to-ceiling windows looking out at the river, especially the traces the woman who lived here left behind. "They feel precious." It sounded a little flirty, but his eyes were clear and open. "No hidden agenda. If you have no objections, Ms. Moore, I can put down a deposit right now." I froze. "That fast? Don't you want to think about it?" Jasper pulled out a black card and handed it to the agent. "Good things don't wait around." He looked at me, the corner of his mouth lifting slightly. "Just like good people. Miss them once, and they're gone forever." Agent Jake's hands were shaking with excitement as he rushed over with a card reader. Just then, the front door slammed open. Seth was back. He was holding a folder, probably something he'd forgotten. He saw the stranger in the living room and the agent running the card. Seth's face turned dark with rage. "Layla, what the hell are you doing?" He stormed over and grabbed my wrist hard. His grip was so tight I thought he'd break my bones. "Bringing another man home while I'm gone. Have you no shame?" The room went dead silent. Before I could say a word, a long, slender hand reached out and clamped down on Seth's wrist. It didn't look like he was using much force, but Seth paled in pain and let go of me immediately. Jasper stepped in front of me, slowly adjusting his cufflinks. His tone was calm, but ice cold. "Watch your mouth." "Sir, for the record, I'm the prospective buyer of this property. And who might you be?" Seth clutched his wrist, wincing in pain. But when he heard buyer, he exploded. "Buyer, who said you could sell this house?" He glared at me viciously. "Layla, are you out of your mind? This is our home. We were supposed to get married here." I rubbed my red, bruised wrist and stared back coldly. "Correction, it was my home. Your name might be on the deed, but we have the property agreement stating ownership shares. I don't need your permission to sell." Seth let out a bitter laugh. He pointed at Jasper, sneering. "Wow, Layla, you've really outdone yourself. You hired an actor to mess with me, is that it?" He looked Jasper up and down, full of mockery. "Nice suit. How much you getting paid for this?" 200, 500. "Buddy, take my advice. This woman's not worth the trouble. She's a total nut job." I was shaking with anger. This was the man I'd loved for 7 years. Right now, his face was so ugly it made my stomach turn. Crack! A sharp, clean sound. Before I could lift a hand, a business card was flung right into Seth's face. The sharp edge left a red scratch across his cheek. Jasper's voice was icy. "Jasper Chase, named partner at Chase Partners Law Firm. If you insult my client one more time, I'll bury you in so many lawsuits you'll be opening summons for breakfast." Seth froze. He picked up the card from the floor, and all the color drained from his face. Chase Partners, Jasper Chase. Everyone in the industry knew who he was. The top litigator for high-end real estate and divorce cases. The guy who billed by the minute. Seth was just a mid-level manager, but even he'd heard the name. His arrogance deflated instantly, but he still wouldn't back down. He looked at me, jaw set. "Layla, you're serious about this? You're selling our home over this stupid fight. Mia's just like a sister to me. Is this really worth blowing everything up over?" There it was again. I took a deep breath, and my lungs burned. "Seth, do you still not get it? I'm not blowing anything up. You just don't deserve to live here. Take your little sister and go live in a gutter. That's the only place worthy of your perfect little love story." Seth's face flushed and paled by turns. He glanced at Jasper, who radiated quiet power, then back at me, unyielding. Finally, he snatched up his folder through gritted teeth. "Fine, Layla, don't you dare regret this. You want to sell? Sell it. I'd love to see how you survive without me. And don't skip the family dinner tonight. You can explain everything to my parents yourself." And don't come crying to me to bail you out." With that, he slammed the door and left. The whole wall shook, dust raining down from the ceiling. The living room fell quiet again. I leaned against the wall, exhausted, and closed my eyes. "I'm sorry you had to see that." Jasper handed me a tissue. It wasn't a joke. He looked toward the door, his gaze deep, just that some people are truly blind, both in the eyes and the heart. They mistake a pearl for a common stone. He turned back to me, slipping back into a professional tone. "Ms. Moore, if you don't mind, I'd like to add one more clause to the contract." I blinked. "What is it?" Jasper smiled faintly, a glint of mischief behind his glasses. "All trash in the property must be removed before closing, especially the kind with legs that talks." I burst out laughing. All the heaviness in my chest vanished in an instant. Deal. The weekend came, and with it the Carters' formal family dinner. Seth texted me, ordering me to be there. "My parents will be there. Don't embarrass me. Mia's coming, too. Be the bigger person." Bigger person. Fine. I'd show him exactly what bigger person looked like. I put on a brand new black backless gown, did a bold red lip and a full glam look. I looked like a black widow going to a funeral, all power and sharp edges. I pushed open the door to the Carters' house. Laughter and chatter, dear eye, faded from the dining room. Mia was sitting in my usual seat, right next to Mrs. Carter. She was peeling a shrimp and feeding it to the older woman. "Mrs. Carter, these shrimp are so fresh. Eat more. They're so good for your skin." Mrs. Carter beamed, grinning from ear to ear. "You're such a sweetheart, Mia. Not like some people lived here 3 years. Never gave us a grandkid. Always walking around with a sour face." Seth sat nearby, watching Mia with a doting look on his face. The three of them looked like one happy little family. I felt like an intruder. Well, look who decided to show up. Mrs. Carter's face dropped the second she saw me, dressed like that. "People would think you work at a nightclub." I pulled out the chair across from them and sat down, moving with easy grace. "Your taste is really something, Mrs. Carter. This is a current season couture gown. Costs as much as your son makes in 6 months." Mrs. Carter was stunned, opening her mouth to snap back. Mia quickly picked up her wine glass and stood, looking soft and fragile. "Layla, don't be mad. Mrs. Carter only means well. Let me toast you. I'm sorry on her behalf." She walked over with the red wine, then suddenly tripped. The entire glass of wine spilled right onto my dress. Dead center. Dark red liquid ran down my chest. I looked a mess. "I'm so sorry, Layla. I didn't mean it." Mia fumbled with napkins, dabbing at me, but her nails dug hard into my skin. I shoved her hand away. "Get off me." Mia fell backward onto the floor, and tears immediately streamed down her face. "Scifi, I really didn't mean it. Layla was so mean to me." Seth shot to his feet and rushed over to help her up. He turned and roared at me. "Layla, why did you push her? She was being nice, toasting you. You couldn't catch the glass, and you take it out on her. How can you be so cruel?" Mrs. Carter slammed her hand on the table. "How dare you bullying a guest in our home? Layla, get out of this house." I stared at all three of them, at Seth, looking like he wanted to tear me apart. I suddenly thought how much of a joke I'd been, putting up with all this for years. I picked up a napkin and slowly wiped the wine off my hand. Then I pulled a document out of my bag, a copy of the property sale contract, and a freshly printed bank transfer receipt. I tossed the papers down in the middle of the table. "You want me out? Fine, I'll go. But before I do, I have an announcement." I nodded at the contract, smiling brightly. "I sold the apartment. The $500, 000 deposit is already in my account. All of it, mine. Seth, we're done. I want a divorce." The room went dead silent. It felt like all the air had been sucked out. Mrs. Carter's scream got stuck in her throat. Her eyes were bulging. Seth went pale, like he just heard the most absurd thing in the world. You what? You sold it. That's my house. What gives you the right?" I let out a cold laugh, picked up my bag, and turned to leave. The right of being the majority owner. The right of having full legal authority to sell. Oh, and the buyer wants the place vacated this week. You have 3 days to move out and take all your garbage with you. Don't leave a mess in my place. I stepped over the puddle of wine on the floor and walked out the door without looking back. Behind me, I heard Mrs. Parker scream and faint, and Seth roaring in rage. But I didn't care anymore. The wind outside was cool, but my chest felt warm, burning bright. Seth called me over and over, frantic. I blocked his number. I only left him one number, my lawyer's. Jasper worked fast. The divorce papers were delivered to Seth's office the next day. Seth refused to sign. He thought I was just throwing a tantrum, that if he waited long enough, I'd come around. He texted me, Lils, stop this. I made a reservation at that French place you love. Let's talk tonight, properly. I booked Mia a ticket back home. She won't come around anymore. Okay, baby, I'm sorry. Come home. Reading those texts, I could only feel bitter irony. Where was this when I needed it? He wanted to talk. Fine. I'd give him a surprise. I hired a moving crew and went back to the apartment. Jasper brought a couple of his guys to help. 2. Ms. Moore. What all are we taking? The foreman asked. I looked around and pointed at just about everything in sight. Everything I bought. Take all of it. Leave only the load-bearing walls. Curtains, rugs, wall art, the couch, the mattresses, even the smart toilet seat I installed. Take it off and put the old plastic one back. The crew paused for a second, then got to work with gusto. You got it. We'll handle it. Jasper leaned against the doorframe, watching me give orders, a small smile on his lips. Brutal. I like it. By the end of the afternoon, the once warm, luxurious penthouse was stripped to the bare walls. Only Seth's sad, old furniture was left, sitting lonely in the corner. It looked pitiful. I took one last look at the place that had once been my home, and I felt only one thing: relief. Pure, sweet satisfaction, like I'd cut a toxic tumor right out of my heart. Before I left a note on the bare dining table. Mia's afraid of the dark. Right, this empty place should be perfect for her to practice being brave. Wishing you two a lifetime of love and happiness. May you never be apart, not even in death. 10:00 that night. Seth waited at the restaurant until closing time, but I never showed. Furious, he headed home. The second he pushed open the door, he was met with empty echoes and dust-covered floors. He thought he'd walked into the wrong apartment. He stepped back to check the number, then walked in again. Finally, he spotted the note on the table and the signed divorce papers next to it. In that moment, Seth finally understood I was serious. The Layla who'd once looked at him like he hung the moon. She was gone for good. I sat in the passenger seat of Jasper's car, watching the neighborhood fade in the rearview mirror. Jasper handed me a cup of hot cocoa. To your new beginning. I took the cup. The warmth spread through my whole body. Thank you. Don't mention it. Jasper turned to look at me, his gaze warm and steady. I'm your legal counsel, protecting my assets, and you count as one of them comes with the job. The car drove into the night, heading toward an unknown but hopeful future. Seth soon realized I'd really sold the place, and after his lawyer crunched the numbers, after subtracting my down payment and the appreciation, his share wasn't even enough to buy a bathroom. Worse, the new owner, Jasper, sent him a formal legal notice. He had 3 days to vacate or he'd be forcibly removed and sued for trespassing. Seth caved. He and Mia moved out of the penthouse with their tails between their legs. With no money, they could only afford a budget motel. Thin walls, dirty rooms, mysterious stains on the sheets. Mia covered her nose the second she walked in. Sethi, what is this place? It reeks. I don't want to stay here. I want a 5-star hotel. I want the penthouse back. Seth was already on edge. He threw his luggage on the floor and snapped. 5-star this. Penthouse that. All you do is complain. Where's the money going to come from? You going to pay for it? Mia was stunned by the yelling. Seth had never raised his voice at her before. Her eyes welled up and she got ready to put on her usual act. Sethi, you're being mean. Is this because of Layla? Don't you dare say her name. Seth ran a hand through his hair, frustrated. All he could think about was Layla. He missed her home-cooked meals, her perfectly ironed shirts, the way she kept everything running smoothly. His life now was a complete, chaotic mess. Mia wasn't the sweet, understanding little sister anymore. She started complaining that Seth was useless, that he couldn't even keep a roof over their heads. She mocked him for his low salary, for not being able to buy her the bags she wanted. Late at night, Seth stumbled home drunk. He stared at old photos of the home-cooked, healthy meals I used to make him. Those days felt like a warm, distant dream. Blearily, he looked at Mia's back. For a second, he thought it was me. He rushed over and hugged her tight, his voice breaking. Baby, Layla, don't sell the house. Don't leave. I'll do whatever you want. Mia was painting her nails. The hug made her mess up, smearing polish all over her clothes. She shoved him away hard, brushing at her dress in disgust. Seth, you're drunk and you reek. Get away from me. Look at me. It's Mia. That frumpy old ball and chain left you. Get over it. Seth stumbled back and hit the wall. The pain sobered him up halfway. He stared at her face's perfect makeup, but twisted with anger. It suddenly looked like a stranger's face. This was the true love he'd left his wife for. This was the fragile, helpless little sister. He looked around the cramped, dingy motel room, and he finally realized his home was gone. The wife who'd sheltered him from the storm, who'd worked hard and stood by him through everything. He'd thrown her away with his own 2 hands. His group chat with his friends was blowing up. Someone sent a screenshot, a photo of me and Jasper at a business gala. In the photo, I was glowing, and Jasper was poised and gentlemanly. The caption read, "Now that's a power couple. Seth's an idiot," threw a pearl away like it was nothing. Seth stared at the photo, and his chest ached like it was being torn open. Tears and snot ran down his face. He looked pathetic. I took the money from the sale and invested in a new project Jasper recommended. I got lucky. The project blew up the second it launched. My net worth multiplied several times over. I became known as a young, successful entrepreneur in the industry. Jasper stopped hiding that he was pursuing me. Flowers every day, rides to and from work, constant little check-ins. But he was always respectful, never pushed me, never made me feel pressured. It was like warming water, slow, steady, seeping into my life before I even noticed. Seth found out my new office address from an old coworker. It was drizzling that day. He showed up outside the building, disheveled and unkempt, scraggly beard, wrinkled suit. He looked like a homeless man. He saw me step out of Jasper's Maybach. Seth's eyes went red with rage. He charged over and blocked my path. "Layla, you already had someone else lined up, didn't you? That's why you sold the place so fast. You've been cheating on me with this guy this whole time. This is adultery. I'm going to sue you. I'm going to ruin you." It was rush hour. Coworkers and passers-by were all around. With one yell, Seth had everyone's attention. He thought I'd panic, be ashamed, but I just calmly straightened my collar and stared at him coldly. "Seth, a brain is a wonderful thing. Shame you don't have one. Adultery, where's your proof?" Me, "I've got a whole stack of your transfer records to Mia. Hotel receipts." 2. Jasper walked over and slipped an arm around my shoulder. He gestured to the security guards nearby. "Escort this man out. He's causing a disturbance. And save the security footage from just now. I'm filing a defamation suit." The guard stepped forward immediately. Seth panicked, yelling at me, "Don't get cocky. Layla, you think he actually loves you. He just wants your money." I laughed. "Wants my money. Better than you, who wanted to drain me dry. And besides that, least I have money worth wanting. What do you have?" Seth's face turned purple with rage, but he had nothing to say back. Just then, a taxi screeched to a halt at the curb. Mia came running out. She was holding a pregnancy test like it was a royal decree, yelling, "Sethi, don't waste your breath on her. I'm pregnant. You're going to be a dad." The crowd erupted in murmurs. Seth froze on the spot, like he'd been struck by lightning. He didn't look happy. He looked terrified. He could barely support himself in his financial state. How was he supposed to raise a kid? And besides, she and Mia, they'd used protection. Right, watching it all unfold. I thought it was nothing short of entertaining. Pure entertainment. I clapped, smiling. "Congratulations, Mr. Carter. 2 wins for you. Toxic deadbeat meets manipulative pick-me girl. A match made in heaven. Better stay together forever." Don't go ruining anyone else's life with that. I looped my arm through Jasper's and turned to walk into the building. Poised and calm, behind me, I heard Mia's whiny voice and Seth's furious shouts. But to me, it was just a pathetic circus show. Nothing to do with me. Mia was pregnant, so Seth had to take responsibility. Even though he hated every second of it, Mrs. Carter pressured him into planning a wedding. But I didn't expect the world to be so small. I was at the OBGYN with my best friend for her checkup and ran right into them. Mia had a perfectly flat stomach, but walked around like she was royalty. Seth trailed behind her, looking worn out and defeated. When Mia saw me, her eyes lit up. Seeing an enemy always brings out the worst in people. She deliberately walked over to me and pretended to trip. She stumbled and fell right toward me. She yelled, "Ah, Layla, don't push me. My baby." I reacted fast, stepping aside. Mia missed and hit the floor hard. Oh, my stomach. It hurt so bad. Mia rolled around on the floor, sobbing hysterically. Seth ran over and shoved me hard. "Layla, how can you be so evil? You'd hurt an unborn baby. If Mia miscarries, I'll make you pay for it." The shove was hard. My lower back slammed into the hallway railing, and I gasped in pain. Jasper had just gone to pay the bill when he saw what happened. His eyes went cold with rage. He rushed over to steady me, checking if I was hurt. When he was sure I was okay, he turned to Seth. Without a word, he threw a punch. Thud! Seth stumbled back, blood trickling from the corner of his mouth. "You hit me." Seth held his face, shocked. Jasper slowly took off his glasses and wiped them clean. "Hit you? Did I need an invitation?" The crowd around us whispered, all assuming I was the bitter, evil ex-wife. Seth thought he had the moral high ground. "Someone tell her she pushed a pregnant woman. She's heartless." I bit back the pain and let out a cold laugh. "Pushed her. Which of your blind eyes saw me push her?" Jasper pulled out his phone and connected it to the hospital lobby's TV screen. "Since Mr. Carter can't see, let's let everyone help him out." The screen showed the HD security footage from the hallway. In the video, I was standing half a meter away from Mia. She'd tripped over her own 2 feet and thrown herself to the ground. A perfect fake fall. I hadn't even touched the hem of her dress. The crowd erupted. "Oh my God, she faked it. That's so shameless. Blaming someone else for her own fall. She should win an Oscar for that performance." Seth's face turned bright red. He looked down at Mia on the floor, his eyes full of disgust and doubt. Just then, the doctor came out with the test results. "What's all the noise?" "There's no baby here. The patient has menstrual cramps, plus minor abrasions from the fall. That's all. No pregnancy. All that drama for nothing." Those words dropped like a bomb. The whole place went wild. Fake pregnancy. Seth froze. He stared daggers at Mia. "You lied to me. You're not pregnant." Mia panicked, crawling over to cling to Seth's leg. "Sethy, let me explain. I love you so much. I was scared you'd leave me. Get off me." Seth kicked her away. "Liar. You're all liars." He turned to me, a hint of pleading in his eyes. "Layla, you see, she lied to me. There's no baby." I stepped back, repulsed. I pulled out my phone and called the police. "Hello, police. I'd like to report assault and fraud. Yes, we have clear video evidence." I watched as Seth and Mia were led away by the officers, and I thought only 2 words. They deserved it. Seth's domestic drama ended up at the police station, and his company used it as an excuse to fire him. Unemployed in his 30s, stuck with a renovation loan for his parents' old house, and stuck with a drama queen. After the fake pregnancy came out, Mia dropped all pretense. She latched onto Seth, threatening to go to his hometown and cause a scene, or post online about how he'd left the wife who stuck with him through poverty. Seth's life became a complete nightmare. He started missing me like crazy, missing the Layla who'd taken care of every little thing for him. He sent me hundreds of texts every day, confessions, apologies, memories of the old days. "Layla, I'm so sorry. I regret everything. That place isn't a home without you. I think about you every day. I can't sleep." I didn't read a single one. I blocked his number entirely. Too little, too late. His regret was utterly worthless. Now, I was busy building my career, and busy falling in love. Jasper proposed to me on a rainy day. No grand, over-the-top production, just a big umbrella shielding us from the pouring rain. He got down on one knee in the rain, holding out a ring. "Layla, your world used to always be raining. From now on, I'll hold the umbrella for you. Or, if we get rained on together, I promise you'll never be cold alone." I looked at his rain-soaked hair, and my eyes stung with tears. This time, I didn't hesitate. Yes, we decided to have a big, beautiful wedding. I made sure to send Seth an invitation, not to show off, but to close the book for good. Gratitude for walking out of the marriage. When Seth got the invitation, Mia was forcing him to eat expired instant noodles. The rental apartment was dark, damp, and reeked of mold. He stared at our happy wedding photo on the invitation. I was smiling so brightly, with a light in my eyes he'd never seen before. He broke down crying and slapped himself hard across the face. That slap shattered his last shred of hope. Mia snatched the invitation and tore it to pieces. "What are you crying for? That isn't worth it." They started screaming and fighting in the tiny room, like two wild animals stuck in mud, tormenting each other forever. Jasper and I went to an island for our honeymoon. It was a postcard-perfect place. We walked on the beach, dove in the ocean, enjoying the happiness we'd both waited so long for. But then, something unexpected happened. Late one night, a small earthquake hit. The hotel building shook violently. In that instant, fear washed over everyone. A chandelier fell from the ceiling, straight for my head. I froze. I didn't have time to react. At the very last second, a warm body slammed into me, shielding me completely. "Don't be afraid." Jasper's voice was in my ear, steadier than I'd ever heard it. Crash! The chandelier hit his back, glass shattering everywhere. He grunted in pain, but didn't let go. If anything, he held me tighter. "Layla, it's okay. I'm here." In that moment, I thought back to that storm 7 years ago, to Seth leaving me with a fever to go pick up Mia. Same danger, same choice. Seth chose to leave me. Jasper chose to risk his life to protect me. Tears spilled down my face, not from fear, from gratitude. So, that's what it feels like it would be chosen without hesitation. The earthquake passed quickly. Jasper was hurt. A long gash across his back from the glass required over a dozen stitches. I cried, my heart aching for him, but he just smiled and wiped my tears away. "Silly girl, why are you crying? A few stitches for a wife, worth every second." The news covered the earthquake. Seth saw it on TV. The footage showed Jasper covered in blood, still holding me tight, and the way I looked at him, full of love, like we'd been through life and death together. Seth sat in his rundown apartment, gripping the remote so hard his knuckles turned white. He remembered promising he'd protect me forever, but in the end, he was the one who'd brought the storm into my life. Mia stole what little money Seth had left and ran off with an older man. Seth had nothing left. Watching us on TV, he finally understood. Some people, once you lose them, are gone forever. This was his karma. 3 years later, another heavy storm hit Riverton. It rained just as hard as it had that night I'd had the fever. I stood by the floor-to-ceiling windows of our new home, watching the rainfall. I was holding a stray cat in my arms. Her name was Rain. Jasper had found her and brought her home. When he found her, she was soaked and shivering just like I'd been that night. Now, she was round and plump, purring asleep in my arms. Footsteps sounded behind me. Jasper wrapped his arms around me from behind, resting his chin on my shoulder. "What are you looking at?" "The rain." I pointed down to the street. By the trash cans on the sidewalk, there was a hunched figure digging through the garbage for plastic bottles out in the pouring rain. I recognized that silhouette. It was Seth. I'd heard he'd gotten into a car accident from being distracted, ended up with a bad leg, and couldn't find work. Now he made a living collecting recyclables. The rain soaked him through. He looked like a drowned rat. Jasper glanced down, then looked away. He had no interest in that man. "It's pouring out there. You cold." Jasper laced his fingers through mine. His palm was warm. "No." I turned around and hugged him back. I looked into his deep eyes and smiled, a smile full of peace. Jasper, you know what? I used to hate the rain because, when it rained, I was always the one left out in the cold, getting soaked. Jasper leaned down and kissed my forehead. And now, I looked out the window again. The rain was still pouring, but inside, it was warm and bright. Now, I love the rain because I lifted my hand, lacing our fingers together. I have my umbrella now.